Hi, my name is Jerry and I collect 1970s toys, and in this video I'm going to be comparing another set of 1970s toy soldiers, and of course it's Airfix against Matchbox, and this time it's the British Infantry, or British Combat Troops as Matchbox used to call them. This is video number 6 in the series, and it's the last one because Matchbox only did 6 sets in 1/32nd scale. And the reason for this being the last set is that I hadn't actually done a video on the Airfix British Infantry. I'd done one on the Matchbox one, so I wanted to do a separate video first on the British Infantry from Airfix, then do the comparison video. So I think this one is going to be a really tough one to choose a winner because they're both really good sets. So I would really appreciate to hear your thoughts in the comments and to see what you think. And also, as always, I'm trying to compare these as toy soldiers, me, looking back at being a kid. So I'm not looking for historical accuracy. I'm looking for fun toys that would be fun to play with, but they can't be, totally weird or anything like that. As this set was released in 1980, of course, then Airfix had moved on from combat scenes and just did the plain boxes, with everything in Europe going on with portraying battle and war on kids' toys. So it was just a basic box, either 14 or 28 pieces. On the back as well, not much to talk about. So it's going to be kind of tough to beat the Matchbox combat scene that they always had. And this one with the Bren Gunner in front, I think is pretty awesome. One thing I liked with the Matchbox is they actually had all the figures in the set on the side. Of course, you get a few of each of some of them, but you could really see which figures you got in the box set. Airfix never had that. They only had, showed maybe a figure or two that was in the set like this. This is, of course, an easy win for Matchbox. You can't really compare the two, but I wonder how a really good combat scene would have looked with the Airfix figures, because a lot of times they used some of the figures in the set on the box art, and there's some really cool figures in the Airfix set. Matchbox gave you 15 combat troops, 11 poses, and I gotta be honest, I didn't realize that the prone soldier is not actually on the box art here. That would be kind of weird to fit him in there, but so you get 10 of the poses on the box out of the 11 that actually is in the set. For the Airfix set, like I said, you get 14 figures and you get 7 poses. So Airfix is back from the mid-70s where you got a lot more poses. They're back to the regular 7 they used to do earlier. I figure that one of my favorite poses and what I find to be very important in a toy soldier set, and that's a Rifleman. And I really like what Matchbox have done. Sometimes Airfix has it as well, and that's a kneeling and a standing Rifleman. For Airfix, you only get the standing Rifleman, and he's a little bit of an odd fellow, kind of just standing straight up and down, like I said in the video on the Airfix set. Looks kind of stoic though, and very British, kind of, sort of, but the Matchbox, yeah, the standing Rifleman, I think is good. Just a natural pose, not super dynamic. But the kneeling Rifleman also really nice. But the Matchbox Rifleman compared to the Airfix, if you look at the scale and if you look at the helmet, I think the helmet is really too small on the Matchbox soldier compared to his head. Matchbox and Bill Farmer had tended to have a little bit larger features on their figures as far as hands and heads goes. So a lot of people are going to complain that the helmet is too small on this Rifleman from Matchbox, but it's still a very nice figure, and I would have loved it as a kid. Another very important figure in a toy soldier set, of course, is a support gunner. And then here we have 2 standing Bren Gunners firing from the hip. Really cool figures. They're a little bit different though. Matchbox has a helmet net and also has a backpack and a little entrenching tool. So it's a little bit more going on with the Matchbox figure than the Airfix one. And as you can tell with these, the Matchbox seems to be a little bit larger in scale than the Airfix one. And then also the Bren gun, I think, is sculpted too small compared to the figure, compared to the Airfix one. And I really like the pose here on the Airfix figure a little bit more. I'm not sure why it's leaning so far back like that. It looks kind of weird. This guy just looks like he's really just holding on to the recoil and just making sure he can fire long bursts. But they're both really nice figures. All right, you know my thoughts on charging figures by now. So I figured we just get these 2 out of the way. I think the Matchbox one is a lot better. He's got a fixed bayonet, even though I think the bayonet is very short. and he looks like he's just about to stab someone with it. The Airfix one, I'm not sure. He's kind of dancing around. Not sure what he's supposed to be doing, but yeah, they're not bad figures though, but I think the Matchbox is a lot better. Grenade throwing soldier, this is pretty much no contest. The Matchbox soldier looks like he's on the training grounds. Very kind of relaxed, just throwing the grenade almost underhand. No rifle, no weapon holding on to. And then you have the Airfix one, maybe one of the best figures Airfix and Ron Cameron ever made. This is so dynamic, so cool. What a great figure, holding on to his rifle, just chucking that grenade. Yeah, this is an easy win for Airfix. The officers, very different figures here. Matchbox in the later set had more than one officer, higher rank, and then maybe like some NCO or something. This one only has one, same as the German infantry. So who could this be? I guess it's some kind of a higher rank. Looks like a general or a major or something. Airfix one has a proper toy soldier officer, at least in my world. I think they should be only equipped with some kind of a handgun. This is the WWII revolver, and have some basic gear on. And just being, you know, leading the troops from the front, very stoic, no rifle, nothing like that. This is a bit of a weird pose that he's leaning so far forward, but yeah, he really beats the Matchbox easily. So this is kind of to me, a little bit of weird addition to both sets. You have a 2-inch mortar, and then you have a bazooka. Late war, I guess this should really be a Piat instead. And yeah, 2-inch mortar, I don't think I would have enjoyed it all that much to play with, but you know, neat to have some indirect fire or a soldier that can actually soften up some vehicles. But as a kid, I would have preferred a bazooka easily. And then, of course, you get this with Matchbox. Since they had a lot more figures in each set, different poses, Airfix really has nothing to match these two. You have a Vickers machine gun and a prone Bren gunner. And this one I really, really like. I think it's so cool. I wish they had put the loader in for the Vickers as it's in the 1/72nd scale set. But both of these are really great. And I always liked having more figures with the same weapon. So you could actually play this one, you know, shooting and then having to go prone, or vice versa, being prone shooting and then having to get up and maybe move forward and attack. So it gets a little bit like a storyline. And that's actually the same thing with this. You have a prone Rifleman, usually not my favorite figure, but when you combine him with a kneeling and a standing Rifleman, even though these are a little bit different because one has a helmet net, the other doesn't, you also get a little bit of a story like this. But you also reinforce the thing with having a lot of Riflemen, you know, basic infantry unit. And this is really a shame. I put these two up next to each other because they're the last figures. And this is a shame that Matchbox decided to put the flamethrower soldier in the set instead of a submachine gunner. And that's also because, I don't know if you can even tell, in the 1/72nd scale set, there actually is a submachine gunner. That's a really nice figure with a Sten gun. So people told me in the video on the British Infantry from Airfix that if it's early war, the Thompson is kind of correct. If it's late war, it should be the Sten gun. But I'm not sure who of us ever played like early 1940s Dunkirk World War II. I never did. Everything was D-Day and onwards for me, unless it was like Italy or Africa or something like that. So yeah, but still though, the thing with putting a flamethrower in there, it's one of my least favorite weapons. I mean, even a bazooka I think is more fun than having a flamethrower. And I really just like my basic toy soldiers. And the submachine gunner from Airfix is pretty awesome, I think. So for this one, I have a really hard time picking a winner. I like it that, you know, from 7/8 onwards, Airfix was doing a 14 box set. That means they're you know, easier to compare the two. But yeah, the strong points, I think, Matchbox having a kneeling and a standing Rifleman and even a prone Rifleman, even though not my favorite, it's really good to have those. You have 2 Bren gunners, it's almost too much. I never thought I would say too many Bren gunners, too much cowbell. And then you have a Vickers. I could do without, like I said, the bazooka, and I don't like the officer that much, and I don't like the grenade throwing soldier that much. And that's kind of the strong point of the Airfix set. You got an awesome grenade throwing soldier, you got a great submachine gunner, you got a super cool Bren gunner. The officer is engaged in battle. The Rifleman, even though the figure is kind of weird just standing up, I really like it for some reason. And I mean, the mortar is okay. So I have a hard time picking a winner. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments what you think. This is so hard. This really is a draw. I would have enjoyed both sets just as much as a kid, but I think I would have picked it off the shop shelf, the Matchbox, because of the box art. Yeah, this is fun. This is the last one though, so maybe we need to get into the 1/72nd scale then, because then we have 2 more sets. We have the Japanese and the Anzac units as well. So that's it for this video. Like, subscribe. I'm getting closer to 25,000 subscribers, so help me get there at least before Christmas. Give me that one gift, please. No, but anyways, yeah, just do that and I'll catch you guys in another video. Cheers.